Welcome, everybody, back to the Nuggets of Gold podcast and YouTube channel. So today, I'm going to be talking about the 49ers reinforcements. Now, I will also be talking about their trade for Charles Omenihu tomorrow, but I'm going to just be talking about the guys that are coming back to practice today. Also, later this week, I'll talk about the impact of losing Jimmy Ward. He has a quad strain, so I'll get into all that stuff later this week. But for the reinforcements, finally some positive news for the 49ers. They are having a lot of guys coming back either soon, either to practice or to next week's game. So on this list of who's coming back, George Kittle, Jeff Wilson Jr., now he's just coming back to practice, probably won't play next week. Azeez Al-Shaair, he's been great lately. He had a concussion last week. Dre Greenlaw, also kind of in the same boat as Jeff Wilson Jr. in terms of he's just practicing right now. Robbie Gould is coming back. Dee Ford, and Maurice Hurst as well. So those guys are all coming back. That is a huge group of people. And then also Austin Watkins, kind of a lot of 49er fans I think are unfamiliar with him, but he was a guy who was picked up as an undrafted free agent. He got hurt in training camp. I believe he broke his leg, but he was a guy I had mocked to the Niners in the last draft. So he's back. He got signed to the practice squad. So potentially maybe we see him get elevated later in the year. I do like him moving forward as like a back and wide receiver on this team, but the biggest guy that's going to be coming back, George Kittle. And I think for this Cardinals game, it is the perfect time to bring George back in terms of, now, of course, health is the most important factor of this, but this matchup against the Cardinals defense, they just lost J.J. Watt. We saw that the offensive line really struggled last time against them. However, J.J. Watt was a part of that unit for the Cardinals defensive line. Having George Kittle back, the running game gets so much better, and they are coming off of their best rushing performance last week against the Bears. This is a great way for the 49ers to build on that and really build some momentum. If they can beat the Cardinals, it will be huge, but having George Kittle in that game is so pivotal. It is going to mean so much for them. The Cardinals, I don't know if they are anymore, but earlier in the year, they were averaging the most yards per carry to opposing running backs. Elijah Mitchell, it feels like the last few weeks, he's averaged 6 or 7 every game. He's been fantastic. So we're going to see that run game really take off, and Kittle's a matchup nightmare for opposing defenses. Now, Budda Baker, you'll see Cardinals fans saying like Budda Baker hangs with him. I don't know about that. Like Budda Baker's kind of got destroyed by George Kittle in past years. But we'll see how this all plays out. I think the biggest impact is going to be for this running game, a chance for them to really build some momentum on that. Then defensively, Dee Ford. He might not be the Dee Ford that the 49ers traded for a couple years ago. Definitely been plagued by injuries. But if he's on the field for just 10, 15 snaps, he can have a sack. He can generate a few pressures. If he's healthy, it's a huge deal for this pass rush unit. Because outside of Nick Bosa this year and Eric Armstead when he's inside, they haven't been able to generate a lot of pass rush. Now, Samson Ebukam last week did have a sack. Saw him flash around a little bit. But for the most part, it's been Bosa, and that's kind of felt like that's been it. So having Dee Ford back is really, really big. Azeez Al-Shaair, he's been a monster in place of Dre Greenlaw. He looked great in preseason as well, but that's huge. And then Mo Hurst, you just lose Javon Kinlaw. Mo Hurst, I don't know if he'll be starting. I don't think he'll be starting, but he's going to play a huge impact. And we're definitely going to see a lot of him. So very, very big deal there. Robbie Gould is back. Now, Joey Sly missed 2 extra points and a field goal. Gould has been consistent when he's healthy. The problem has just been he hasn't really been healthy. But hopefully Robbie Gould is back. He's fine. He had a groin injury again. But hopefully that's good there. And then Dre Greenlaw. When Greenlaw comes back, I think that's going to be really, really exciting because we're going to finally see, all right, we have Greenlaw, Azeez, and Fred Warner. Now you have those 3 linebackers that are all really, really good players, and we're going to get to see them all play sideline to sideline, which for almost the first time this year, because I think Greenlaw played. I know he played in the first week. I think he got hurt in the second week, I want to say. So pretty huge reinforcements coming for the Niners. But yeah, I just wanted to quickly get an episode out about that. Tomorrow, I'll talk about the 49ers single trade at the deadline. Much needed pass rush, like I was saying. Like you haven't really seen a ton of it, so that's why it's a big deal that Dee Ford is back, Mo Hurst. But I think the biggest impact, I think immediately is, and I think everyone expects this, is going to be George Kittle. And I think having him there is going to help this run game so much. So really, really happy all these guys are coming back. Niners coming off a big win. You really want to get that momentum going, get a big win against the Cardinals. So having all these guys coming back and at least practicing on on the cusp of coming back is a huge deal. So tomorrow, I'll talk about that trade. Later in the week, I will talk about Jimmy Ward because with these great reinforcements, that is a big blow as well. But positive news finally in terms of the injuries for the Niners. But that's going to do it for me today. So thank you all for listening, and I'll be back tomorrow.